All right, mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. All right, mic's good. We're running on a little bit different PC because the old one's dismantled pretty much to get hard drives and video cards and everything else that we need out of it. Welcome, finally, to our live build for the new WhaleyNet streaming PC. So, let's go over our case. Love this case. Cannot wait to get torn into this thing. So, what we're going to be building in is the... Hi, honey! The Cooler Master H500M, which is a full-size ATX case. It's got two 200mm Rgb fans in the front that we're actually going to take and put up top here. And then everything, let me get this unlocked so we can get this tempered glass panel off. It's got tempered glass on the top, the front. It will have tempered, it has a mesh front panel that comes with it, but it'll have a tempered glass front panel on the front as well that it comes with. And it's got tempered glass on both sides as well. So we're gonna gently remove our tempered glass piece. And also I love the fact that the design, that's as far as it goes if it's actually standing upright. It only goes to about a 20-degree angle. So that way you don't have to worry about it dropping and breaking and everything else. It's just absolutely awful for it to do. So, and then we're actually going to, it's got a 140mm regular fan in here. We're actually going to be replacing that with a 140mm Rgb fan from Cooler Master. We're going to be taking the two 200mm fans out of the front, like I said, and we're going to be replacing those up top. And we're going to be putting in place the Cooler Master Master Liquid ML360R RGB water-cooled radiator. It's got three 120mm ARGB fans on the front. The actual pump itself is ARGB as well that goes right there onto the socket. Speaking of the socket, we are going to be using the Asus Republic of Gamers ROG Strix Z390E motherboard. That actually has ARGB lighting right there on our I/O panel, as well as having a addressable RGB header, two other RGB headers, and support for all of our 3.0 and 3.1 ports. We're actually going to be adding, not just on the front, we're going to have push-pull radiators. We're going to have, as soon as they come in, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be, I'm going to try to get it done tonight, but we may not be able to because there was not an additional 3-to-1 splitter like I thought there was in the 120. This is the Masterfan MF120R ARGB 3 kit of 120mm ARGB fans from Cooler Master. There's not a splitter in here for it to go from a 3-to-1 splitter where all three of these can go to one ARGB that goes into our controller on the back. So that's a little disappointing that we won't be able to do that, but we'll have ARGB on both sides here. That's actually going to function as a push-pull. We are going to be putting in, speaking of sockets, Intel's i7 8700K, which is overclockable, thankfully. We're not going to do a D-lid tonight. There will be one done here in the next several days, but we're not going to do it tonight just because I don't want anybody to get any bad ideas. There's plenty of videos online to do it. If you watch a ton of them, get comfortable with it, and then do it yourself, but I don't want to do it on stream. But we will be doing that eventually. For our main storage, we're going with Western Digital WD Black 250 gigabytes M2. That's actually, the Asus Z390 has a built-in M2, actually has two built-in M2 slots that are actually heat synced, so I'm very excited to try this out and see how it goes. We've got, for our RAM, if we're doing everything else as ARGB, got to go with something ARGB. So we've got the Triton Z RGB kit. It's a 16x2, so 32 gigs of RAM from G-Skill. I'm really excited to see that in action. And then, of course, we have the beautiful Founders Edition GeForce RTX 2070 that we're going to be putting in there for our graphics card. We have, and last but not least, we have Oh, this guy, which I have not seen used in a ton of builds, but I'm super excited to try. It's the Asus ROG Thor 850 watt platinum power supply. And the reason I'm so excited to try this one is because right on the side of the power supply, it actually has an OLED display that shows voltages as it's pulling wattage through the power supply, and it also has ARGB built into the power supply itself on the corners. That, and this thing is super quiet. I mean, super quiet. They're boasting some new heat-seek tech that's absolutely brilliant, so I'm really, really excited to see how that goes. But, of course, first, let's get to the disclaimer. This is going to be a full build, from bare bones case all the way to up and running, basically. Almost up and running. We'll have power cords going to it, but we're not going to go through like the Windows setup. We're not going to go through all the drivers. We're not going to go through everything like that. This is not an end-all be-all guide, because you'll notice there are some things I'm missing, very plainly. I don't have the anesthetic wristband on, because honestly, I did another build for somebody, and it's over at their house still, and I completely forgot it. We will move a little quickly through some parts. So it's not going to be the end-all be-all video guide to building out one of these chassis. But I am really excited to get it built, because our old streaming machine was an i7 3700 no overclock, and the bottleneck was so massive on trying to do anything. We were getting super throttled with anything we were trying to do. But let's get started. So I'm actually going to move our case back down here. That way we can get started on our processor and our motherboard and our RAM and everything else that's going to go into this bad boy. So let's go ahead and pull. We've got a RAM. We've got our processor, 8700K. We've got our WD black. We've got our screwdrivers, magnetic. We have our Strix Z390E Mobo. And then that should be about it. And then we're also using some of the Thermaltake DG7 thermal paste for now. I will be using some of the Noctua thermal paste after we get the D-lid done. But this TG7 should do quite well until we get the D-lid done. So, let's start with getting our motherboard out of its beautiful little package. So, this is our wireless antenna package, I believe. So we'll worry about that here in a little bit. This is our important part. Hello, beautiful. This, of course, the ROG Z390E gaming motherboard. Go ahead and move our box over to here. This, she is absolutely gorgeous, and we're just gonna. None of the sound. I'm sure the mic's not picking up the sound of the. Oh, there went some of it. Nice. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's say, let me know if the camera angles or anything are a little off, or if there's anything that we can improve on. Again, we're using a bit of an older machine to stream this build. Oh, God, I love that sound. So. Let's start with our i7. So we're going to go ahead and break our factory seal. We're really, really going to hope that our silicon lottery turns out well for us. We just got the parts in today, so I haven't had time to even put it in the board. We haven't had time to boot it up. We haven't had time to do anything. So we're going to hope that our silicon lottery is good enough and will support our overclock that we're wanting to do. Yeah, with the way we've got it zoomed in and the software we've got on this machine, the top cam is just about as focused as it's going to get, unfortunately. So here is our i7 8700K. And we will go, of course, over some of the bare bones simple stuff of what to avoid in a build. So, triangle to triangle. There's going to be right down here on this corner. Never touch your pins, never touch your contacts. And gently place your processor in your board. And we'll go ahead and close our socket back. As we do that, that cover will pop off on its own. And we'll put that cover right back in the box so we can keep it. All right, so processor's in. Love it, love it, love it. So now we've got our Trident Z RGB 16x2 kit from G-Skill. And this is an absolutely beautiful set of RAM. I mean, look at this. I know the focus probably isn't great, but I mean, that is absolutely gorgeous. The heat sinks on there are beautiful. That entire top bar is ARGB. And this board recommends slots 2 and 4 to be used for a single kit. So that's what we're going to do. We will have a dual kit in here at some point, but at $250 for our single kit, we could not afford it into this build at this time. I would love to have been able to afford it in this build, but single kit is what we're going to end up having to go with. And very gently place that. Oops, come on. There we go. There we go. And just gently place that in there until she clicks in. All right. So there is our RGB RAM installed. Next up is, let's go ahead and put our M2 SSD in while we've got it completely out. They said this is the M2 from Western Digital, WD Black. And again, I haven't had a machine that's used DDR4. I haven't had a machine that's used an M2. I haven't had a machine that's, I mean, heck, up until recently, we didn't have a machine that used anything other than a 660 Ti from 2012 or 2013, somewhere in there. Long, long ago. And we just upgraded to the RTX 2070 here late last year, or very, very early this year, actually. So I'm really excited for the performance increase of the M2. And we're actually going to put it down here in this channel, because putting it in this channel actually... let me get a bigger bit. Putting it in that channel reduces the amount of SATA ports that we're actually going to lose full functionality on with our solid state drives, and we actually have a standard drive that we're putting in as well, which I know is almost blasphemous to put a standard plattered drive in this thing, but come on. Oh, man, that is not wanting to come out of there today. That's a pH0. pH00 in here, or pH1. There's a 00. Let's try it. One of those things where I don't want to tear up our board, but at the same time, we need to get that thing out of there. Very odd. Those typically come out pretty easy. Let's see what we got. Rotate through. I know I should have a pH1 in here. There's a Y1. There's a Y2. There's a pH000, which is I think what we were already using. Let's go with this one. See if we can get... Man, that M2 slot is not wanting to release. At all, actually. That's very, very odd. It's acting like somebody's had been into the M2 slot before, but I know they haven't because it's a brand new board. I don't think I've got... it's a Y00. Don't need a Y bit. Oh, here we go. That's... Alright, there's our pH1. Let's see if that does any better. There we go. Alright. And right over here we have our magnetic screw tray. If I can very gently remove this. There we go. Alright, there we go. Never force a part if you can avoid it. Sometimes you have to, but if you can ever avoid it, don't. Alright, now, Inside of our box from ASUS is going to be our tiny little fan that goes right here on for our VRAMs, and our M2 standoffs and screws. So we're just going to open that up real quick for our M2 standoff, and we'll measure it out real quick. Make sure, if I remember correctly, this is a 280, but we're going to put it in just to make sure that it is a 280. Just to validate and make sure. Yep, it's a 280. So we'll go ahead and remove that back out. And then put in one of our 280 standoffs. Okay. And get one of our other M2 screws out. And that way we can go ahead and put this M2 drive in place. If I can keep the screw on the actual, there we go, on the tool. All right, now I have seen this done both ways. I've seen people just put the heat sinking back on and go, but I've also seen where people will remove this sticker to provide better conductivity between the heatsink and the chips. Now, just in case this chip doesn't work for our initial run through, I'm not going to remove that sticker, because you remove that sticker and then your warranty's void and then you have a real problem. Western Digital I've never had any issues with, but just in case, we're going to leave it on there. We're going to remove our little piece of plastic that's covering our heat sinks, and then we're going to very gently apply yep, there we go. Apply our heat sink back onto that M2. And put it in place. And that, other than putting this tiny little fan in place, which we will actually end up doing, well, we may end up doing that now. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that now. But that should be just about everything for the board itself. Then we can move on to putting the water pump in place, putting the board in place. So, this itty bitty little fan, compared to the size of my thumb, it's so tiny. But it actually will go, I believe it's right there. It's either right there. Let me double check. I can't remember where I put the book, but it's okay. No, duh. I believe it actually sits at an angle right there. And then let's get our actual screws and everything out for that. There we are. There's our washers and our screws for this. Yeah, I feel more comfortable with the book. So, those will actually run up straight through the bottom. At least they should. Or can we possibly put these in place? No, that's not going to go into place through the heatsink. Okay, but let's go in place through the heatsink. Oof, barely. Barely go into place through the heatsink, but I guess that's kind of what you want. Alright, so. Glad we don't have power to this thing yet. Alright, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can't. I want to double check that. Because, again, I trust myself, and I trust what I'm doing. But when working with new technology and new boards and new equipment, it's always better to double check your book and make sure you're not screwing it up. So, do. Alright, motherboard, installation, blah blah blah, fan expansion card, which is actually already part of the case, but we're not going to use that one. And 2 is in. Okay. Aha! See? This is why I look at things. This actually has another set screw. So, this is why we always look. We don't just randomly put things together. This is why the book is important if you're building one of these for the first time or the millionth time. So, it actually has... we're going to turn the board around where it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. It actually has a screw built in right there that we can remove, okay? And then this entire piece actually comes off. Then alright, so what I'm seeing is that the fan itself sits right there to the bracket from what it looks like and goes over it at an angle like so. See, aren't we glad we looked? And then our screws will drop in through there. All right, now, the main thing is we want our cabling to make sure it can reach. So we're going to run it up right about there. So we're actually going to run it up behind this heat sink and then over to, I believe it's going to be the CPU optional, which is right here. So, yep, that right there. And let's make sure that'll reach, and it will. All right. Make sure your cables reach before you start putting everything together. So let's put our screw in there and attach our washer and bolt to the bottom. Bean! And I'm building the new streaming PC. I wish I had enough money to give one of these away to the entire community. God, I wish I did, because this thing is going to be a monster. I mean, an absolute monster of a build. So we're going to go ahead and tighten these up. Just hand tight's fine for the moment. We'll tighten them back down here in a second. And then this actually will sit right about there, I believe. Yep. The fan actually comes back and across. And then our screw that we just took out. I'm going to go ahead and grab that real quick. We'll go in place right there. Let's get it good and level. And tighten it up. And all right. There's our tiny fan. And we're actually going to run that right there along the back of the heat sink where it's not as visible. And put that right there into our CPU optional header. And look at that. See, even before you get the board in there, you're doing cable management. So, there is our Mobo. She's ready to go. We've got our M2 down here. We've got our RAM in. We've got our processor in. We've got our VRAM fan in. She's beautiful. So, let's go ahead and put our board back in our box. Very, very gently like. Because that's got way too much money in it now. Oh, almost forgot. We also have these fancy stickers. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with all silver since we're doing all the RGB. And that actually goes on. I know, as fancy as it is, that'll actually go right on to, if I can get it in there, our CMOS battery. And I know, it's just a little thing, but one of those cute things that Asus puts in. So we'll put it in there. And then we have our stickers for our cable ties. We have fan labels, a couple other little things that Asus puts in there, or Asus, or however it is that it's pronounced. So, let's go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup. Here's our processor case. Put our caddy with that. And I've just got a box over here that we're putting all of these in. There's for our M2, our RAM, motherboard book. We shouldn't need this for anything else because, again, it's a motherboard. It's not that complex, thankfully, but that one little fan, not a lot of builds that I do, or see even, have that built-in and included fan that's going to be cooling that with your liquid cooling. Because those parts up there like to have air on them. They like to have air moving. And with a liquid cooler, now, I say the liquid cooler. Asus, the Asus Ryujin 360 has a fan that's built into the liquid cooler that actually blows air down, which is really, really neat. But we're not using that. We're using the Cooler Master ML, the ML360R, which has got the ARGB built into it and the controller and everything else, which I really liked more. So we're going to go with that one. So we're losing out on just a little bit of functionality that I would have liked to have seen, but that's okay. And we don't need our Wi-Fi module just yet. So let's start. Instead of starting with the front, let's actually start back behind our case. And I know some people are going, what? Why would you start behind the case? Because we have 2 solid-state drives to put in. And it's going to be so much easier to get those screwed into here while the case is actually down and open and you're able to access everything. So we're going to go ahead and pull off this vanity plate so that we can get back here to attach the bracket for our water cooler. And then we're going to go ahead and remove some of the other vanity plates. Not with thermal paste. That is not a screwdriver. Believe it or not. Thermal paste makes for a crap screwdriver. I don't care who it's by. We're going to go through and... Oh. Whew, I may end up going and getting a bigger screwdriver. This little bitty one may not do great for these larger screws. So, would not complain if a certain orange-handled screwdriver with a Phillips bit just happened to show up. Because those are going to be a little rough with just this tiny screwdriver. Hint, hint, wife, hint, hint. But I hope everybody's having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am at this point. Oof, let's see. Maybe this screwdriver will work a little bit better. Doesn't have the magnetic bit on it, but we got a little bit more. Oh yeah, that's better. Never mind. We got a little bit more crankable area. Now, there's a couple of these case pieces that we're actually not even going to put back in. Now, this piece right here, this vanity panel, this covering, we have to be super careful with because... I'll show you why here in just a second. So we're going to actually go ahead and take off this vanity panel, which shows a lot of our ARGB wiring and some other wiring that's going up to our 200 mil fans that we're going to take out here in a second. And I know everybody's going to cringe whenever I start taking apart the built-in cable management, but we have to. I do have a reason. Now, this is why I say we have to be super careful with this, and I'm going to turn it over real slow. This is the built-in Rgb controller that's actually built into the case. Now, this reset switch is going to get unplugged because we're going to use the larger controller. And then these two will also come out from our bundle of cables. These actually don't go anywhere. These would be going to the connection to our motherboard through our Rgb connection, and this would also be going right here to one of our fan. See, there's where one of our Rgb connections is, so we're actually going to go ahead and unplug that one. Here is our other Rgb connection. So this actually has a 2-to-1 splitter, but we can't use it, which really stinks, because I would really like to be able to use it. But with it having this type of connector here, I think it's a 6-pin connector, we can't use it with the other board. So we're actually going to remove this entire Rgb connection from this back panel where we don't have to worry about tearing it up, just in case we do want to use it later. And then later this week, we will actually have another one of these self-contained Rgb controllers to give away. Because we got an extra with our 3-in-1 kit, but it didn't come with a splitter cable, which is really, really disappointing. Again, I was really hoping to put all that together tonight, but not going to be able to. So this piece, we're not going to use. So we're just going to gently put it over there. Now, all the rest of these we are absolutely going to use, because these are our connectors to our reset switch, to our power LEDs, to our power switch, hard drive LEDs. This is our fan wire. These are our 2 wires that go to our fan power. But we're actually going to take these apart too, because we're going to move those fans. So we will put that right up there. That way we do have it, but we don't need it right now. Now, one thing I will say, if you're going to be building this in this specific case with this specific board, this is something I ran into the other day while building this machine for another client. You are going to need one of these, and this is a 2-port. It doesn't have to be a 2-port, but this is a super speed USB 3.0 PCI card that has an internal 3.0 header. This board only has one internal USB 3.0 header. It has a USB 3.1 header as well, which is great for our front panel with our Thunderbolt and our USB Type-C. But it has 2 separate USB 3.0 Type 1, Gen 1 connectors. So one goes to the motherboard, and you have to have a secondary PCI card that will connect right here. That way you have full functionality of your front panels. If you don't have one of those, only one set of your front panels is going to work with this specific board in this specific build. Oh boy. Now, here's the trick. Is that locked in place? Okay, there we go. Whew! For a second there, I thought that locked in place, and that was going to be really fun to do cable management while attached to a PCI card. But if you're building with the ROG Z390 or the Z390E, I'm sorry, and the Cooler Master M500, H500M, H500M. Everything ties together with numbers. You're going to want a secondary PCI card that's got the internal USB 3.0 header. So, thankfully, I did a build on this machine for another client a few weeks ago. So, I already knew about that, so we went ahead and made sure we ordered one. I actually ordered 2 so we could have one for his build as well. But there's our 2 internal 3.0 headers. There is our fan cables. Those will actually get taken off. There is our reset switch that will go to our other controller, and then one from that controller will go through to our motherboard. And then, of course, we have our internal HD audio. But that is the extent of our front panel cables and explaining where all those go. Now, let's get to standing this bad boy back up so you guys can see what I'm doing, at least for the most part. And we'll go ahead and drape those back down. What we're going to end up doing is, very gently, because this is, I would have loved to have seen metal clips, but it doesn't have metal clips, and that's okay. Very gently, we're going to remove this front mesh panel. Like I said, very gently. There we go. So, this front panel is mesh. It's got the mesh one that comes with it. But we are actually going to be replacing that with the tempered glass panel that's right over here. We're also going to be replacing this 140mm fan with that Rgb fan and a couple other little things. So, we're actually going to set this off to the side for a moment. What we're going to end up doing right now, actually, is pulling these 200mm fans. Because while we have it apart, is the perfect time to go ahead and pull these fans. That way we can get them moved up to the top. And the screws these come with are actually pretty good little screws. You do get some extras with the case itself. And they are cable managed very well through the case. I will say that for them. I really do like the cable management they put in on the actual case itself. Now, one at a time, cables. All right, so. Yeah, and these are the Masterfan 200R ARGB fans. They're the, I don't think they're brushless, but I'd have to look. Don't hold me to that. Cooler Master, if you guys are watching, I'm sorry. Since you guys were awesome enough to tweet this back out on your channel, thank you for that. It is greatly appreciated. And then we're going to go ahead and pull off this other MF200 200mm ARGB fans, since we're going to be putting those on top to make room for our 360mm radiator. Now, a lot of people out there are probably going to go, now you can't put a water-cooled radiator on the front, because what it does is it pulls all that hot air, pulls cold air through that radiator, heats it up, and then spits it out into your case. But there have actually been several different videos. I can cite at least two that I can know of off the top of my head. Jay's 2 Cents and Bitwit both did a video on comparative temperatures of water-cooled radiators and their placement on either front or top. And it's actually better on your internal components and your graphics card and everything like that. Again, subjectively, just off of raw data, it's actually better to have the cooler on the front. It actually keeps your internal temperatures lower than having it on the top. And the reason for that is, with it blowing all that air through, and it's just going straight back out your exhaust, you're still having that air flow through. It's keeping cooler temperatures, and it's making it one large cycle, basically. It's making it one large circle. So you've got your intakes, you've got possibly, a lot of people don't do it, but I'm going to be putting in the 360mm exhaust, and then you've got your exhaust with your 140mm on the rear. Now, again, a lot of people don't do that. I'm going to be doing that for the push-pull. One other thing I will say, there's a set screw on the back of the top that I almost missed the first time I built this case. This little bitty guy. Yeah, don't miss that, because you will just end up almost trying to rip this thing apart if you don't see it. So, and then we have some more little plastic clips right here, and gently very gently pivots out of place from your front panel. The front panel, thankfully, doesn't come off, so you don't have to worry about that. And then there's our top piece. Yes, I do have glass cleaner. We will be using it. But that is just about as bare bones as we're going to get this case down to. So, why don't we go ahead and, if I can, there they are. Let's go ahead and get our screws in place for our SSDs. Let me grab those real quick. Let me walk around here to you guys, because I put all of my older reused components over here, just to make sure nothing happened to them. Hey again. Excuse me. Pardon me. Pardon me. Excuse me. All right. So we have, like I said, we've got the 250 gig. 250? Yeah. 250. Yeah, 250 gig drive. That's going to be for Streamlabs. That's going to be for our OS. Very, very, very often used games. That's going to be for our VR equipment. All of that. But our SSDs are going to be for our other stuff we don't use very often. So those are actually going to mount in place right about there on the back of our case. Or we can mount them on top of the power supply shroud. But we're not going to be using the power supply shroud more than likely. I've got to pull it apart a little bit and see how much room we're going to have for the RGB and the OLED display. From what the cutout on the Cooler Master case is, we may end up not being able to use it, which would suck. I would really like to use it because it's really, really good looking shroud. But if we can't use it, we can't use it. So let's go ahead and get our accessory box open for our case. And in here we have cable ties, thankfully. We have a really, really nice size cleaning cloth for the glass, which I'm loving. I mean, look at this. This thing is, for just being included with the case, this thing's going to be fantastic for both the glass and for my VR stuff. It's got the Cooler Master embossing there. We have a USB 2.0 to USB mini micro. Mini or micro? I always get those two mixed up. Standard Android charger USB. I think that's USB micro. That would go. That this will actually use for going to our controller. The one that was included with the controller is just it's a USB to USB Type A female, and then it has another USB Type male to micro. So might as well eliminate a little bit of the cable management and just use the one cable. We have a Molex to fan connector, which we're not going to use. We have, I believe this is a, yeah. So if we were running that standard connector, we'd have two more ARGB connections. We're not going to use this cable either because we're going to use our other controller. So this cable can go away, this cable can go away. And then, of course, the most important part of this little kit, all the tiny screws that we're going to use to put this thing back together. So, tear this bad boy open. Now, a lot of people, myself included, like to organize all of these screws in the screw tray, but we're not going to today because I'm kind of a masochist, and that's what I'm going to go with, is I'm kind of a masochist. We're going to go ahead and just go through, get screws as we need them, get standoffs as we need them. As much of a nightmare as that sounds like, and it probably will be, but let's see if maybe we'll get lucky. What I'll probably end up doing is putting one SSD on the inside. This is probably this Samsung SSD on the inside, and then I'm going to put this SanDisk right back here on the outside. Let's see if the screw is long enough. It is not. Let's see if I just got that screw stuck in that screw hole. I did a little bit. Let's see. Is this going to be one of the ones? Maybe. Oh boy, I hope not. Okay. That's going to be for fans. So, what else we got? That one looks just about right. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so yeah, that'll hold in place. So, we're going to put our, we'll put our little SanDisk. This is only a little 120 drive. So, we'll put this on here and get that started. It at least I say we will. It's about the right length. Let's see if it's the right size. It's close. Nope, a little too big. That's a disappointment. Alright. So, if we don't have... Oh, I wonder. Do these even screw in, or are they just... These actually, I didn't put an SSD on the back, so these might actually just place in place, which would be really nice, and kind of pointless and counterintuitive of me to have put the case up right, but that's okay. So, let's see here. We've got 4 little things on there. Let's just see. Yep, I bet that's what it is. Yep, they've got some screws in there that actually just screw into that, and then you can push that down flush. You don't have to worry about screwing anything in through the back of the case, so it's going to touch the MOBO. I like that design. That's a good design. And then that'll drop right down there. The reason we're not going to put both of them on the back is because I want to put our RGB controller right about here if we can. We may end up putting it right down here, but right about here seemed to be the best place for it. Because we have our 2 RGB connections that are running from the top. We've got our 1 RGB connection that's running from the rear. Our 3, it will be 6, but our 3 RGB connections that are running from here, and our 1 ARGB connection running from our power supply. Now, with that being said, we may end up putting it a little bit lower. We may end up putting it right about down here. Matter of fact, let me grab that controller out of our box. That way I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So this comes with the Master Liquid ML360R. And what this controller does is, so it has 4 ARGB inputs, or outputs I should say. It has an ARGB input from your motherboard. It has an RGB input from your motherboard. And then it has case reset, motherboard reset, fan, an R1, and a key. The key is not used as of right now. Now, here is why we're probably not going to put it right there. Because you notice, actually, we might be able to place it right there and still be okay. Because we got SATA power on this side. And yeah, we might be able to place it right there and put both of our SSDs, but here's the problem. Cables for our SSDs. So, with our cables coming out from our SSD, we won't be able to place it there because then we don't get power to our SSD. So, it will probably go right there. Right there is about where I like it to be. And it will probably be flipped over, just about like that. That way we have our motherboard connection that will run off and back. We have our, well, 2 motherboard connections run off and back. We've got our USB connection that will run off and back. Our 4 ARGB outs. 2 will come up to here. 3 from here. It actually does have a 5-way splitter, thankfully. But with only having a 5-way splitter, that gives us our 3 fans and our 2 fans. That does not give us our rear ARGB or our 3 inside ARGB or our power supply ARGB, which really sucks. So, we gotta wait for the other 3-in-1 splitter, which I hate having to wait on, but thankfully you guys understand. Now, that's where the controller's gonna go. So, what we'll end up doing is we'll be putting the other SSD in place on the inside of the case, and we will put it right about there. But for the moment, we can go ahead and grab our cables, make sure they don't get damaged, and, well, real quick, why don't we go ahead and put our other 200mm fans back up top here. So, where these go? These are going to be, we're going to go ahead and set these as exhaust fans, actually. So we'll have push-pull intake, exhaust, exhaust, and then our fan for our power supply will also be acting as an exhaust. So we're going to put those there, and we're going to run our cables back. And the way these go in is actually a little weird. These go in at almost an angle to each other. If I can remember how I did it. Yeah, there it was. There we go. So, these fans will go in there and there. And then they go in, I believe it is just about like this here. Yeah, there and there. So they almost go in at an angle to each other. But it all works out and it all makes sense, thankfully. So let's go ahead and, other side. Get these fans put back in place. Our cables running to the rear, just like that. Or just like that. Yeah, we're gonna have them both running into the mid-rear there. Okay. So that one goes there, and that one will go there. And then some of you guys are gonna be going, oh, what about the other two fans? Well, there's no screw holes for the other two fans. Which, again, something I would have loved to have seen. It may be something I'm just ignorant on and I'm missing. So, Cooler Master, please let me know. But I haven't been able to find another way to mount these. But the way that these mount looks really good, works really well. So, that's how we're going to mount them. And, actually, this one, we're going to mount the opposite way. We're going to mount, yeah. We're actually going to mount this one in the opposite direction, that way we don't get it cut off with the fan. There we go. That's the way I want to do it. Yes. Also, honey, you're getting, I'm going to completely redo the old streaming PC with that i7-3700. So you're kind of just getting one. So, totally forgot to put a chat box on the screen, but that's okay. There we go. Alright, so let's get these fans screwed back in place. And then we'll get these cable managed here in a little bit. Whenever we start hooking up the rest of our Rgb components, but these will run right through here, right up top, all four into one hole, and then we'll run out right here to the rear of the case, and then down. So these all run right about like that, and down into our wiring enclosure. And then our splitter will actually be a part of this, and we'll run to here. So we're good there. Now, we have those in place. While we have it standing up, no, we'll do that while it's laying down. It'll be okay. Won't hurt nothing. So we're gonna actually rotate these up where they don't get hurt, rotate these up where they don't get hurt. Move this vanity panel. Another pack of silica gel out of it. And place our case back down where it's nice and secure. Now, we've got our SSD there, so we still want to be careful. Now, let's go ahead and pull this other 140mm fan off. Because we're just going to go ahead and put this Rgb from Cooler Master in place. And this will be our exhaust. Alright, and I don't know what we're going to do with this 140mm, 1200mm fan, or yeah, 1200 RPM, 140mm fan. I don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but for the moment, it's going to go over here in the do not use pile, and This is a variable speed 650 to 1500 RPM fan. So it's gonna make it a little bit quieter, which I love, and it's got that ARGB in it, which I also really love, because that's one thing I will say about the Cooler Master cases. Their ARGB lighting is phenomenal. The software I have some issues with, and we will get into that after we get it built and get it online tonight, and we start going through some of the other setup. Also, okay, now, thankfully, this came with screws. So, the screws that we had in the original 140mm fan, if you're replacing one of these 140mm fans, and now I've dropped one. Oh boy. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay. I will find that in a minute. But, point being, if you're going to replace this with another one of these 140mm fans, use the screws that are included, because we just about stripped out one of the screw holes on accident. And that's bad. That's real bad. You don't want to do that. And the ones that come with it, much better fit. There we go. Let's actually step over here where I can work on it a little bit easier. Hopefully everybody can still see me over here. All right, 1 hour down. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Again, if you guys couldn't tell, I absolutely love building computers. Okay, there's 3 of them in, and let me grab my phone real quick, actually, so I can try to find... Oh! Our other one that dropped on the floor. There it is. All right. Pure luck that it didn't bounce halfway across the room, but I will take it. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this last screw into place. And that will take care of installing our 140mm ARGB fan back here on the rear panel. Now, that'll get cable managed up here. At least part of it will. Our fan will, of course, connect to our fan. Our ARGB will connect to our ARGB controller. Now, let's get those cables out of our way and move on to the next, which is going to be, there we are. We're going to remove these 2. So, this panel can actually stay. I took off this panel whenever I did this build the first time, and I didn't have to, which makes me very happy, because it's kind of a pain. But in order to get off our power supply panel, we have to take off this panel, but that's okay, because we're going to be taking off a part of this panel to begin with. This case supports 360mm water cooling. However, you have to take apart part of the case. Which is a little annoying, I must say. But it's okay. Alright, now, that should be... if I remember correctly, that should... Oh, nope. It's got screws on the back. That's right. Right there, right there. So rotate this around, if I can actually get to them. It's got 2 screws here on the back that I have to take out as well to take off these panels. That's why we took off the back glass. Started with that. Alright, that should take care of those. So, now, we should be able to rotate this back down, move all of our cables back out of the way, and, okay, yep, there we go. So, now, this piece will remove ever so gently, and this piece right here is a little vanity cover, but, thankfully, you can just pull that off, and then that expands down for our 360 mil cooling. Then, we pull this piece off. Does it have... Yeah. This actually does have 2 more screws I got to take off, as well as those thumb screws. So we're actually going to put this piece right over here for the moment, because we're going to go ahead and drop our power supply in place. That way we can take a look at our placement of our power supply versus this vanity panel and the actual rest of the case. I'm afraid we're not going to be able to use this shroud with this power supply, which is going to kind of stink for our cable management look, but we're not going to use every cable in our our power supply, so it might be okay actually. We'll find out. Alright, so there's our power supply cover. Go ahead and put that over there. And 2 more screws up here to remove, to take out our power supply shroud. Now, to be honest, I don't know if I want to use it anyway, since it has this fantastic exhaust fan that's built into the power supply. I'd like to have that additional ventilation, but we will take a look and see what we can and can't do. So, let's go ahead and remove this. Again, very gently. A lot easier if you pull both those 2 up. And then have to, it's almost a wedge out design, which is kind of annoying, but it's okay. There we go. There we are. Almost. Almost. Come on. There we are. Okay, so, like I said, that is our vanity plate for our power supply. So, that can be removed, but we're going to go ahead and drop this Thor 850 in. Oh! Thankfully, that wasn't anything important. No, it's just one of the vanity plates. So, let's go ahead and drop this Thor 850 in. I'm going to move our power supply shroud right over here. Move our hard drive, our SSD. I love this box. Yes, dear. Love, love, love this box. I can't... Thankfully, it was just a vanity shield. It's okay. Alright, now. I love the way this is packaged. This is packaged absolutely phenomenally. That is really nice thick foam, really durable looking power supply, really solidly put together, heavy as all hell. With it being a platinum though, that's to be expected. Now, let's go ahead and get our protective plastic off of her. There we are. Hello. How are you? I love that ROG. It's matte black except for the top where it has almost a shiny, a gloss ROG eye printed onto the top. And then we have, oh, yay, more. Excited. Alright, hold on. Let me get to it. Went a little quick there then, but that's okay. Now, oh, we got one more. But I can get it. If I can get it. Come on. Come on, fingernails. Don't film me now. Oh, it's a little bitty one. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look. That's where that's going to sit. It's right there. Now, let's take a look at our shield. Because I'm afraid... Yeah, that's going to not cover up the... It won't cover up our OLED, but it will cover up our RGB lighting. So, unfortunately, it's going to look a little bit worse for our cable management. But the shield can't be used. Which stinks, because it's awesome looking. And it's sturdy. And it's got some extra SSD mounts. And it's great for the cable management. It's phenomenal for the cable management. But to get the full effect of our power supply, we can't use it. And that's okay. Put that back there in our bucket of things that we might use later. While we've got this pulled apart, let's go ahead and just drop in our 1 terabyte Western Digital Blue. This is just an old drive I had sitting around that was in the other machine. It's already got some of our software and everything installed on it. That way we can just remap Steam, remap Origin, remap Uplay, remap everything. All of the different gaming softwares and platforms. Epic Store. And then we have to remap. Remember back in the day when Steam was the only game? Like, they had the monopoly, and then everyone was like, no, we don't want that. We want competition. We want... Yeah, now we have 17 different frickin' game managers we have to deal with. I miss those days. I mean, I really, really do. I miss the days where you could just be like, oh yeah, let me load up Steam. The one thing I have to load up. So, that rant aside, let's go ahead and grab out our cables. Well, we've got this box of parts. Let's see what else we got in here. We have a book on a power supply, which I'm guessing is just plug-in power supply, plug-in cables, plug-in power cord, plug-in cables, safety information. Safety information, Chinese, Japanese, French, Dutch, Italian, Russian, Arabic, Portuguese, no idea, Danks, Netherlands, nope, the Korean, Polish, regular Spanish, Swedish, possibly Yiddish on that last one, I don't know. Point being, plug-in power supply, don't open power supply, plug-in cables, don't electrocute yourself. Book handled. Alright, okay, good, that's working. What else do we get? Sorry, I had to go replace my mother's modem today, and it seems to be up and running finally. Now, let's see what else we got. So we got more cable ties. Yay. Ooh, an ROG badge. It came with stickers, but it didn't actually come with a badge for the case in the motherboard, so I'm really happy to see one of those. Because I love showing off the branding. Some screws. A coupon for 20% off of cable mod cables. Nice. If we ever want to do... No, you're not stealing any of my cable ties. I need some. If we want to do cable mod cables, which we probably will at some point. Ooh, some of the cable mod cable management clips. These things are beautiful. It actually came with some in box, which is awesome. Ooh, with some really nice Velcro straps too. Like, actually has the ROG built into it. Nerve, what's up, buddy? This is a i7 8700K build with a RTX 2070. Right now it's got 32 gigs of DDR4, 360mm water cooled, M2 for the OS and streaming stuff. It's got 2 SSDs for anything we use less, a regular old HDD. Whew, that's a beefy power cable. Nice. And then, like I said, the main thing we're talking about right now is this Asus, whatever they want to call it. The ROG Thor power supply that's got the built-in OLED display for wattage throughput and the ARGB lighting. So again, that's something I haven't seen. Yeah, no. I haven't seen a lot of builds use this ROG Thor. And I really, really love the Thor unit. So yes, I went a little overkill on the PSU. I did. I went a little overkill on the RAM, a little overkill on the processor. But I want this to last for years upon years. And I want it to look good while it's doing it. Because this is the one I want to take to conventions. This is the machine I want to take everywhere with me to set up. And people go, oh, all right, that's badass. So I did go overkill on the PSU, but I'm really excited about testing it out. So here's all of our cables for said PSU. Really nice bag that it came with for the cables. A lot of these are actually braided cables. We've got our main power supply cable. We've got, let me go ahead and just rip this open where we can take a look. There is our ARGB cable. Regular RGB cable if we didn't have ARGB on the board. Yeah, and then the 8700K, I'm going to delit it at some point. I'm not doing it today because I want to get this thing up and running. But we will be delitting it at some point, applying liquid metal. And I do have to give a shout out to my parent company because I'll be using this for video editing for them as well. So they, other than the motherboard and the graphics card, they actually funded the rest of the parts going into this. They funded the processor, RAM, fans, M2 SSD, power supply, case. So the guys over there at Morph Properties and WinChoice, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Since I'm going to be doing work with this machine, it made sense, but I do still appreciate it, so thank you. But actually, these are really nice braided CPU power cables. I mean, that's actually really nice. That's going to be our main CPU, our main power to our Mobo. Braided PCIe cable for our 2 braided PCIes, actually. 3 braided PCIes, actually. Wow. Wow. Man. I guess if you were going to... No, that's another CPU. So it's got 2 braided... Oh, wow. Is that 2 braided CPU? No. So it does actually have 3 braided PCIe. One that's got a... Almost a... I know. I almost went the Ryzen 7 or with a Threadripper. But I've used Intel forever. I've always built with an Intel processor. That's just something I've always done. AMD has come leaps and leaps and leaps and bounds in the last few years, coming out of the budget market and going into the professional killer market. But there's something inside me that looks at an AMD card and goes, I can't. There's an AMD chipset that I just can't use an AMD chipset for the life of me. And it's nothing against their company. They're doing a lot better with going outside of the budget market, but Intel has always been my bread and butter. Intel is what I've always relied on. It's what I've always trusted. So Intel made the most sense to build this entire thing around. Plus, the Mobo is phenomenal for Intel. So, and then... So, that's a good question. For the next build that we do, the next big builds, we actually may end up, for the next, massive build, it's going to be full custom liquid cooling. It's going to be full everything. We will probably end up going with an AMD Threadripper. Probably Threadripper 2, actually. Don't need a Molex cable, thankfully. So we're just going to... All these cables that we're not going to use, I'm just putting them back in the bag. SATA cables we're going to use... Molex to floppy I'm not going to use right now. That's a 4-port SATA. Maybe. We'll go ahead and keep SATA cables out. We got another 4-port SATA and another Molex. We're not going to use Molex. Oh, did the auto mod pick up on something? I don't know either. I have no earthly idea. because it didn't even pop up on the screen that AutoMod kicked something. So I have no idea. So I'm sorry. Again, this is an older machine, so it's got an older chatbot, older version of Streamlabs, a couple other things. So I apologize, because our main streaming machine is actually in pieces, and I pulled all the hard drives out of it and everything else that I was going to need. So power cable for that we're going to use the CPU cable we're definitely going to use. But now here's the question. This has shiny ends on it. This is braided all the way down. But this has the braid on the outside. This is the one solid. I wanted something to be able to step up to. The 9900K is a great processor, but it's a newer processor. It's not really a battle-tested, battle-hardened processor like I would like to see. Now, that's not saying it's not going to be good. I mean, it's an 8-core, 16-thread. At the same time, I don't like the fact that in the 9th generation, this board will support a 9900K. That too. But I don't like the fact that the i5 has never been really hyper-thread. That's okay. I don't like that the i7 in the 9th gen is not a hyper-thread chip. I really don't like that. That just rubs me the wrong way. It used to be i3, i5, i7's hyper-thread. Period. In this gen, it's i5, i7, i9's hyper-thread. Why wouldn't you just keep your i7, your 9700, keep that in your hyper-thread? Keep that in there. There's no reason not to, other than trying to push your 9900. So I went with I almost went with it out of spite that I went with the 8700K. Just to be absolutely honest. It is almost something that I went with out of spite, just to be like, listen, I'm not spending the money on the 9900K. It's got a really cool case. It's got really cool packaging. It's all plastic and translucent and badass, but I just don't care about that. I care about functionality. I care about heat dissipation. And I know the 8700K stock is not great on heat dissipation either. However, it is at least stock hyper-threaded, which I really do appreciate. Okay. Yeah, 6-core 12-thread is definitely a little bit easier to cool, especially whenever we're overclocking it. After we get the liquid metal on there and delit it, we're going to try to overclock it to 5 gigahertz. I think it's 5 gigahertz, 1.34 volts stable. So we're going to try to push to that for the i7. Because after delitting, I think we're still seeing temps. A lot of people are still reporting temps of around 60 to 70. Oh, love that. 60 to 70 C, which isn't bad. But we're not going to worry about doing that. We're really pushing that. We may be able to push the overclock to about 4.8, 4.9 across all cores with the i7 without delitting it, but I don't want to really push it much past that. We could push it up to 5, but we'd be topping out at about 100, 101C, and I'm not down with that. I'm not down with completely burning up a $400 processor just to screw with hyper-threading, or just screw with the overclock. Now, that is one thing about this board, though. This board has what it's calling an intelligent overclock. And what that means is that as it learns about what you're doing, it learns about the CPU usage, and it learns about everything else that you're pushing through it and hammering it on. The Mobo itself will actually do an adaptive overclock for you. So something that takes you a couple of days or almost a couple of weeks even to really hammer out and get super stable, the board will actually take care of for you. So we're going to play around with that and see how that works, because this is something I think is brand new to this board, at least from ASUS. I don't know if any other companies have jumped on that, but I haven't seen another ASUS board that came out before this one that had that almost intelligent adaptive overclocking. I hate that we can't use that power supply Shroud. The new Ryzen, I feel like Ryzen has been coming into its own, and I love that. because for years they were your, okay, well, I've got $75 to build a computer. I guess I'm going to go with AMD. I don't have a choice. I've got, you know, today I've got $27 and a stick of gum. That'll afford me an AM2. But, I mean, something inside me screams no whenever I'm like, yeah, we're just going to put an AMD processor in. It's like, no the hell we're not. You were using Intel, or you're not using anything. I will light this computer on fire. Again, old habits. The old habit is Intel. And that's just what I'm so used to. Once, I want to build a Threadripper 2 unit. I want to build one with the custom water cooling loop, the rigid tubing, all the bells and whistles and fancy and shiny, all the cool shit, but not yet. All right, so, but there is our Asus Thor power supply put in place. Now, let's go ahead and get our Mobo in, because that's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to get this motherboard in place. There is our motherboard. There's our standoff tightener. J-Good! Yes, Season of Drifter starts tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna be back into that hardcore. I mean, I've been trying to get back into Season of Forge, and I've just been kind of putting it off because I'm so far behind, and I feel like an asshole. My wife's like power level 640 and kicking my ass. But Drifter coming out tomorrow? Yeah. We're jumping back in. We're gonna jump back into it hard. I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I still haven't had a chance. No, I'm not leaving for a week and then stopping again. I know, Nerve. I know. You gotta remember, I also ran for office. I've been doing a lot of other crap. I've been trying to expand my horizons, play another couple of games. Again, my main thing is that my damn wife has one-upped me so badly in Destiny. It makes me feel like an asshole. I mean, she's been kicking my ass. It's ridiculous. My wife has been like 640 for months. Yeah, no, they've got that new, what do they call it? Like force power or something like that? Power level? It's not actually a power level, but force leveling, something like that, where you can go get some bounties from the Drifter and get up to 640 within like an hour or two. So, at least at that point, it'll be Last Wish ready. I'm aware, honey. You don't have to point it out. I get it. I know I'm an asshole. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's why I hate not being able to organize everything beforehand on screws. Then you can't find all your standoffs. And then they're lost to the freaking abyss of time. There we go. Okay. There we go. Yeah, no. At least tomorrow I can finally be like, yeah, I can finally run Scourge and Last Wish, since I still haven't had a chance to run it, except the only time I've run Last Wish is with you guys on day one. We all started getting mad at each other and we said to hell with it. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Oh, I hope that's not actually a defect in the case. We're going to put this in place and hope that it actually just screws in with a little bit of force. But I'm afraid that one of our standoffs... okay, it'll go. One of our standoff attach holes was a little bit bent and stripped out, but thankfully we can get it in there. Perfect. But yeah. I said, yeah, no, the first time we had a chance to run Last Wish was just all of us just getting fucking pissed at each other. Like, I don't give a shit. Here's an idea. Fuck you. I don't care. And it's like, all right, no, this isn't worth it. All right, fine. I'll at least go watch all the videos. No, I'm excited about getting back into D2. I've been missing it. I really have. You guys gotta tell my wife to quit being better than me, though. It's killing me. Either that or tell her to get her ass on PC and play with us. Instead of playing on Xbox. You know, if she played on something real, that way we could all play together, then maybe I'd have a little bit more incentive to play. But, yes, I know you're not going to stop being better than me at it, and I know you're not going to play on PC instead of your scrub console, but that's exactly what I'm actually going to build up my old rig with that 1050 Ti in it for her to use. She's got a okay rig right now with the 1050 Ti in it, so she can get some pretty decent graphics on it. But no, that i7 3700 rig is what I'm going to end up building out for her. All right. Okay, now time for the gentle part. Okay. All right. Gentle. 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 Very gentle. Move that tag. Warranty. What does it say? Warranty void if removed. Shit. Okay, well, don't have a warranty on that 140mm fan anymore. That one's on me. Okay. And we're in place. Good, good, good. There we go. All right. Solid. Yes, Asus, this board actually has a itty-bitty little fan up here just for the VRMs. That's all it does, is it blows air down onto the VRMs with using water cooling. No, it just blows air down onto the VRMs. With using water cooling, it doesn't have the rest of that air going into it. So they actually included a tiny little fan and a bracket built into the Mobo to blow air down on the VRMs. It's brilliant. All right, so we're gonna move over to back to our magnetic. No, what's going on with PC? Man, tell me about it. I tried playing the console with her, and it doesn't feel right. I mean, I played D1 for years on PlayStation. I mean, years upon years, but it just... Oh, a nay. Yeah, that's what I've been telling her. Just plug in their Xbox One controller. It's not like it won't work, but no, gotta keep playing on Xbox. Gotta keep doing my own thing. Blah, 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 blah. But no, she's better than me. I'll be the first one to admit it. I'll admit it publicly here on stream. She's kicking my ass. It's embarrassing. Oh yeah, we're gonna boot this thing up today. I'm not going to go through like the full Windows install and all that, even though it's going to be really, really quick to do the Windows install. But yeah, we're going to boot it up. We're going to get Streamlabs running on it. I'm going to power it up and just we're going to power it up and plug in all the hard drives and get all the software on it, and then I'm going to start streaming. We're going to start streaming. We're going to do like some 3D Mark. We're going to do a Cinebench run. Start working on a little bit of the overclocking on the GPU and the CPU. So, no, we're going to definitely get it booted up tonight. Now, whether or not we jump back on stream tonight or we do it tomorrow is all going to be on what time we get done with the actual builds, because we still have a whole lot of cable management to do. We've got the water cooling to do. We've got the 360mm radiator to put in. We've got a ton left. Yeah. Good old boner. God love him. There we go. God rest the boners. Alright, well, that's all the motherboard in. We got that 440 mil in there. So we can start putting in our... Oh, popping my back into place. Liquid cooled. So we've got our 3 heinous jokes. We got our... So the bags are already open, just so you know. Bags are totally already open. Wasn't on the motherboard. So yeah, no, the bags are open on those 120 mil Rgb fans that I probably just killed one of. We're gonna hope that we didn't. Right? Hey, there had to be at least one major screw up. There had to be at least one. Here's all of our mounting screws. Here's our little tube of thermal compound master gel that they sent with it and we're not going to use. Here's our mounting brackets for our actual cooler. Not those. Don't need those. Don't need those. We need this because this is our actual back plate. There's all of our cables for our controller. And our 360 mil water cool by Cooler Master, which will go in place just about like that. That's about perfect. So pretty much, yeah. Now, here's all the other nonsense we don't care about, but no, this is the one we care about. This is that 360 mil radiator with our ARGB pump and, honey, no. Bad honey. So we're going to go ahead and put the radiator in place. I'm going to set this right here where it doesn't tear anything up. Stay. And then we're going to start wiring in our fans. God help us, everyone. Now, one thing that I will say that I really liked about this is they... Right? Go ahead and pour all of these out and we'll place them right here. They actually included thumb screws for the fans instead of just being regular old screw-ins. So these are actually a lot simpler to put in place, thankfully. Oh, you can go to hell, Nerf. Thanks, buddy. We're just going to put another one of the screws in place down here, you asshole. Oh, I know we still have the clip from where she scared the ever-living hell out of me for no good reason. Rude. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this fan in place. Then put our other fan in place. This screw should not be necessary anymore with the rest of them in. Good. All right, and one last one to here. Yeah, no, hey, if the wife wants to come in here, then she is more than welcome to come in here. I know she knows how to do it too. there's the rest of our thumb screws. And we'll go ahead and dump the rest of these screws into our screw bin. I go make you a sandwich, honey. I got you. What kind you want? Let's go ahead and move some of this other stuff. Let's see, is there anything else in here? We're gonna need SATA cables. Some Rgb to 3-pin? Weird. Okay. Oh, thermal sensor. We're gonna want our thermal sensor. More cable ties, and we're not gonna need our SLI bridge because we're running a 2070, and the 2070 can't SLI, which sucks. Oh man. So we don't need that. Don't need that. We're gonna need this vanity plates. At some point when we're cleaning the glass, we're gonna need that. We're gonna need this Wi-Fi antenna for doing the initial driver setup. Don't need those boxes. Don't need this box. Okay. Oh. Dude. Oh man. Let's talk about Norcross, Georgia. Frickin' Norcross, Georgia. Those bastards. That job sucked. God, that job sucked. Yeah, that was about the last I had time to really talk to you guys, wasn't it? Oh, boy. I spent a week there. Damn near a week. I think it was like 5 or 6 days just redoing all of that networking. I mean, God, that job was a nightmare. It's done. They're up and running. They've been up and running for months now, thankfully, but God, that job just was awful. But, again, it's worth it because that same company paid for most of this crap. So, 100% good with it. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry, Nerve. I'm sorry. I know. I'm a bad friend. I'm a bad human. Bad clanmate. I'm bad at a lot of things. I know. I know. I'm sorry. I know. I'm fully aware. I'm actually city councilman out here in Mountain Pine now. Which, as much fun as that sounds, it's not. But, that's okay. Ooh, more plastic. Yay. So, thankfully, it hasn't been keeping me as busy as I thought it was going to, but it's still keeping me way too busy. Alright, so there's our LGA 1155 mounts. Screws go in from the bottom for this. Yeah, kind of. Just to be absolutely honest. Now, if you like budgetary and if you like city budgetary analyses, then man, that is the position for you, because it is a whole lot of meetings and a whole lot of budgetary, going over line items and budgets and city government and blah, 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 blah. It's not nearly as much fun as it sounds. Doesn't really sound fun at all, because it's really not, but we go on with it. Ow. Okay, I'm not going to peel that off just yet, because I want to get all of these screws in place. Yeah, I get paid a whole $30 a month to do that. And I'm doing that for the next 2 years. So, I wish. I kind of get paid for it-ish. Kind of, not really. But yeah, no. If you've ever wondered how a city government stays in business, it's a whole lot of people sitting around in a meeting going, well, can we do this? No? Alright, good meeting. Alright, so all those screws for the LGA 1155 bracket are now in place. And then we'll put that right down on there until we get some thermal paste on there and get our wish I'd gotten a taller table. I'm the one that bought the table, and I didn't buy a tall enough table for me. How dumb is that, huh? Alright, so there's our screw downs for that. Here are well, they pay, just not nearly enough. Got to find that. But, you know, little town of 700 people, they really can't afford to pay much either. Oh, I wish it was on the floor. But the zoom's not nearly good enough to do that with. Alright, so those go in there. This pushes on like so. And actually, we're going to click that into position 1 for the moment. Position 1. And position 1. And position 1. Alright, so we're going to try. I may end up having to pick this up just a little bit, much as it pains me. Okay. We're going to align our holes there for our standoffs, for our water cooling radiator, for our pump, as best we can. Okay, good, good, good. Okay, now snap that down into place. Snap that down into place. Snap that down into place and snap that down into place, and that's hopefully, in theory, will stay like that. Of course it didn't. Ah! Bah! Oh, okay. That's the one thing I don't like about this case. What we're going to try to do then is put these in place, and then we're going to try to put this vanity panel back on the back. Let me guess, I put all the way over there. Yep. And just listen and wait for it to fall back off again. There we go. Hopefully that will keep it from coming off any further. And I'm actually... Oh! Alright, so I'm going to actually end up probably having to... Okay, yeah, nope, that's not going to stay. Shoot. Okay. So until we get ready, I'm going to go ahead and put some of these spacers on here, and we're going to just kind of screw two corners of this down until we're actually ready to put the cooler on. That way, at least it won't go anywhere. So I drop one of the spacers into it, like a genius that I am. Alright, that should at least keep our bracket in place. Keyword there being should, and hopefully, and bracket. Alright, that means we are ready for our paste. This is that Thermaltake TG7, and we're just gonna very gently probably about a pea-sized amount. Retract and reseal. Again, cost you $8. You use that much. So this stuff will be good forever. But that's okay. It's not like it won't be used. Now, if we get lucky, real lucky, those will just stay and rut in place, or we can just drop this cooler on it and go on. The ram's already in, but it should not be in the way of it. We're just going to really hope, yeah, because it'll actually come up and around, and it'll drop in right there. We're just going to really hope that these don't fall out of position entirely. Okay, so there's one. Damn it. Damn it. Yep, that's what I was afraid was going to happen. Hate the way those go in. There's not really a better way to do it. The thing I'll say is Cooler Master. A little bit better design on. This back panel. Because it's a nightmare. That's as tight as it gets too, unfortunately. So, I'm going to end up having to do the same way I did it the first time, which is a whole lot of swearing and a whole lot of trial and effort, so you guys just have to bear with me where you can't see it. Unfortunately, I wanted to put it on camera, but I used the same water cooler the first time, and it is a pain in the ass. If you couldn't tell from it just almost falling out again. I like the water cooler, but the back plate could use some work. Back plate could definitely use some work. If I can get one of them on there, I'd like to get two different corners on there, but we'll make it work. See if I can just get, if I get two corners started, it'll stay in place. Alright then. I'm missing out on a hell of a conversation, I think. Always miss out on all the fun stuff. Alright, so there's one of them at least started. Move some cables out of the way. these two of them started. Ow. So, those fans, definitely not a great thing. But that's okay because we can now put this vanity plate back on. The back, and rotate this back down here. And you guys can see us put the rest of this together and in place on the liquid cooler. She's not holding me hostage. But, thankfully these I think these are PET tubings. They're pretty good about rotating out of the way where you can, oh, come on. You just have to be hand tightened down. Hopefully that other screw point will raise up just enough. There we go. Perfect. Just hand tight. That's all it needs. All right. And we'll flip around our cover where it actually sits correctly. All right. Liquid cooling. We'll go ahead and rotate those back up where they're out of the way. And we're in place. So, now, this is our AIO pump. So that'll actually run back and around. Oh, don't get your penis caught. God, we've talked about this. And this is for our ARGB. I know. Call the fire department again. Alright, so that's the primary parts of our components. So, now, we can move on. Whew. To a little bit of cable management. So let's go ahead and start running some cables through. That will go into here, this will go into here, and down. These will go into here, just like this. And those can actually run through the same opening, thankfully. No hacksaw. Bad idea. Bad honey. No biscuit. Alright, so that should take care of all those. The only other cable, let me put up some of these screws real quick because we're not going to need them. And I don't want to accidentally rotate this case down onto any of them. The only other thing we got to put in for cables is our thermal monitor, which will go onto the actual board. So we'll put that right there. Alright, now let's rotate this back down where you guys can take a look at what we're working with on the rear of it. So we've got this Cooler Master ARGB controller. Alright, we have our three actually ARGB leads from our AIO pump and our two 200 mil fans. We have our three from our three from our fans here going into here. Now, this is the important part. We've got to wire our fans. Okay. Middle fan goes to, middle fan goes to red, because this is actually what's going to control your speeds. And then the other two go to your other two fans, to your top and bottom. Your middle is what's going to get your best actual control and your best airflow. So there's all three of our actual fans wired up and ready to go. Now, let's get our... This is going to go to a standard RGB header on our board. So we're actually, thankfully this is magnetic, so we don't have to really worry about where we place it. So we're just going to just put it like that. Probably could, actually. We'll debate it. We'll see. We'll see where we want to put it. Actually, I'm probably going to end up putting it down there, but we'll figure it out. So this will go, arrow goes to arrow, so you don't short it out, to our 12-volt motherboard pin. And then that will actually more than likely route right through here to our board. Perfect. Just like that. Then we have, let's see, this is what I was talking about. Let's say USB 2.0 to USB-A female plug. It's about worthless. That's about worthless. That's about worthless. So we don't need any of that, thankfully. Which means we can move on to these. These are the fun ones. So, this is our 5-to-1 Rgb splitter. Now, it goes from one Rgb going into port here. Oh, right, we can't put it there because of IOs. I knew that. I've already said that. That will actually be fine because we can do it like this, right about there, as long as this bottom one here will reach to it, which it looks like it will. Barely. Let's see. Can we place it right there? Yeah, let's place it right there. That's perfect. All right. So, let's move this back out of the way. So, these are our ARGB connections. These really doesn't matter how we wire them up, thankfully. I'm actually going to see if I can re-cable manage this down to here as well, so it'll all run into the same. We'll see. We'll see if we can. And we'll see if we have enough cable room for it. It looks that way. Yeah. Yeah, we got enough room from there, and that's going to be going to a splitter, so we're good. Alright, and one more cable through this one hole. When we get 6 into one hole, it gets to be a bit of a tight fit. Yes, those big ones are going to exhaust out the top, those 200 mils. Actually, those are going to be intakes off the top as well. So we've got our intakes. It's going to be a push-pull. We've got intakes, and then we've got exhaust and 140 mil exhaust. I may change that around, but I actually like those being intakes, believe it or not. Ah, there we go. Okay. Sorry, that took a second. All right, now we can hook back up our fan controller. But no, I'm more worried about pulling air in with that glass front panel as well. And it's a glass top panel, so I'm more worried about getting air into it than I am about trying to get the air out through there whenever we have our actual exhaust through the power supply and this 140 mil fan in the back. So that's where my thought process is on that. All right, now here's the fun part. So, like I said, as long as one of these reaches, which looks like our middle one's actually going to reach better, so we're going to use our middle one. So these two will come up to here and plug into our 5-way Rgb splitter. Arrow to arrow. Arrow to arrow. And then these other 3 will come up here and go to our 200 mil fans. Right, that one, ooh. I'll have to see if we've got an extension for that, because that ARGB is not going to reach where I want it to for that 140mm fan. Unless... Well, actually, the AIO pump will reach down to here, so we'll be okay. So that'll go to our two... Yeah. That'll go to our two 200mm fans up top. And to our 140mm exhaust fan, since those are all ARGB. And then these two can plug into the actual controller itself. So that should be 1, 2... Nope, we got one more. One more that I'm missing somewhere. There's those two. There's 3. That's 4. What on earth? Oh. Nope, that's the end that plugs in the controller, and I'm just spastic. Alright, cool. Alright, so that goes into the controller. Okay. Then we're going to need our... This is our connector from our motherboard ARGB to the actual ARGB input on our controller. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in. Arrow to arrow. Gently. Okay, there we go. And then that will run back out mostly. There's actually a secondary little bitty dongle on there for a gigabyte board, which we don't use. But we're going to use the one for the Asus, MSI, and ASRock boards. Hate little white tags on everything. And that'll go right through there. And then we need the... There we are. This is for dongle. Big flapping dongle. This is for our ARGB on our power supply. So, this will plug in down here to the power supply, and then this will plug into our controller. But for that, we're going to need... for actually a lot of these, we're going to need these little adapters. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this little adapter because I need it too. Yeah, totally, 100%. But back to the case in point. So we're going to go ahead and plug in. These are basically a male-to-male adapter for the ARGB. That way they don't have to worry about tearing up any of the actual male connections on the ends of these cables. And we're going to hope that they actually made this correctly, where we can just... I know. I thought about it. I thought really, really, really hard about it this time. But doing the all black with the ARGB just really spoke more to me. So that's what I went for. We'll plug that one into there. This will go into here. Okay, and then one more from our AIO pump. Yeah. No, not that. Definitely not that. Nope. That just got caught in with all the rest of the crap. Hold on. Oh, the cable management is a pain in the butt. There we go. We'll just feed that through real quick. Make life easy. There's power cables for those fans. There's power cable for that fan. That's not what I was needing. I was needing this one. There we go. And that's going to go to our other 5 for our splitter. That's what I was thinking, was that's going to be, like I said, if I do a Ryzen, the Threadripper build, I'll do that in white with the custom loop. Alright, so that's going to be where that has to go. Because that's as far as some of these cables will reach. But that's okay. We've got it in place. And we've got all these in place now. So, let's go ahead and, again, stretch out my damn back. Goodness. So, these are our fan cables from our front panel. Actually, yeah, we could, no, that's wanting a 4-pin, so, yeah, because these are programmable fans, the other one's not. Alright, so, there's our 2 fans for the top. Plug those in. We actually have room for another fan on there, but it's not going to be it's going to be a non-variable speed control. So, go ahead and run that through there. All of these, go ahead and run that right through there. So we can plug that in. Now, let's start working on these. This big bundle of frickin' cables. So, yeah, that's going to be the majority of, all right, thankfully that's going to take care of actually all of our fan components right there. What's that going to do? No, nothing. Okay. And we'll cable tie all that up here in a little bit, of course. Make it look pretty. Got to make it look pretty. All right, so we're going to need this USB 2.0 to USB so that we can actually software control that Rgb controller. And this is actually the one that came with the motherboard. The one that came with the controller came with a couple of separate little cables that do other things, and I could not stand the way that looked, so we're going to use that one because it was just dumb. That's our SATA cables, which we don't really need at this moment. We can always come back and do that here in a second. There's the other Cooler Master USB cable that we're not going to use. We're going to use that thermal paste. We're not going to use this little junk cable. Okay. So, and that's actually going to feed right back through here to plug in somewhere. That's going to be all of that for the moment, so we can actually go back up and start working on this, which is our front panel I/O, our side panel I/O, all of that good stuff. And these are going to feed through down here. Both of these 3.0 headers will feed through down here. Our 3.1 header for our front panel will actually feed through in the middle. Our bottom parts and our headers will go in. Almost, yeah, those 4 headers will go in through there. And then, oh, actually, can we, I wonder if I can bring those up behind the power supply instead. I bet I could. Instead of taking all of those through that and running the cables across the board. Yeah, let's try that. We're going to try to run those along the power supply and up. Yeah, that way it's a little bit cleaner. And run all that down like that. That way we can cover up a lot of this with these back vanity plates. Now, this little guy is our outlier. This is not going to go into the board. This one will actually go into our case reset here. Because that will allow us to use that Rgb controller from the case reset switch. And then we have another Mobo. Oh, God bless that one. That was a fun pop. All right. I can find it. Are you it? No. No, you're not it. You are definitely not it. Where did she go? I had it pulled out of here. No, I would absolutely be lying if I said this wasn't going to be a damn near be a rainbow vomit build. Because I think just about everything's going to be ARGB now. Where did she go? I knew I had it pulled out and set aside. I just couldn't remember how I had it set aside. So this will actually go from this controller to our motherboard's reset switch. There we go. Just like that. And what that will allow us to do is a long press will give us our Mobo reset, and a short press will change our ARGB settings. Now, we can flip it over. And keep a hand on all the cables, and thud. All right. Welcome to... Oh yeah, we're still going at it, Jaeger. All right, so here is that 4-pin fan header. We're actually going to rotate that down where we can plug it straight into these fan headers for the chassis fans. Our addressable RGB header. There we go. Yeah. Where's our other RGB header? Down there. Okay, we'll actually end up rotating that out too. Our addressable RGB header is right here, underneath our SATA ports. Oh yeah, no, we've been going for right at about 2 hours and 15, but this one's got a lot of specialty parts in it, so it's understandable. Alright. There's our ARGB. And that can get... Actually, damn. We can do all 3 of those the other way. So let me pick that back up. Again, with the custom cable manage and everything else, it always takes a little bit extra time as well, but I want it to look right. Okay. Yeah. Come on. There you go. So yeah, we can actually run that one through there. We can run this one down and through there. I feel like there was another one that we were going to run through there, but we'll look at it here in a second. Oh, right, we're going to run this RGB, instead of running it through here, we were just going to run it through the bottom of the case, down here to this other RGB header. Okay. Now, back to what we were doing. Let me put that back in place so you guys can kind of see. There we go. All right, now, that's the only thing I don't like about not being solid ports with those adapters, is that you have the chance of snapping the little bastards off when you put your case down. So we're really gonna hope that we don't do that. I think I've got one extra. Yeah, I've got one extra of those. So I'm gonna try to be as gentle as possible and not snap any of those little pins off. If we do, that's going to be a bad time. All right, but there's our ARGB. Careful, yes. There is our brand new USB 3.1. Let's make sure that's right. That looks right. We'll double check it. There we go. All right, USB 3.1. Yeah, no, it's going to be cable managed here in a second. We've got our USB 2.0. There it is. USB 2.0. That goes up to our controller. We've got our HD audio. I like getting everything actually run and plugged in before I start doing the cable management. I'm weird. We've got this one that goes here. We've got one of our USB 3.0s, and then we have our other USB 3.0. So one of them will go right here, and the other will actually just hang out for a second because it's going to go to that PCI USB 3.0 adapter, since it'll go right there, since this board doesn't have two USB 3.0 headers, which sucks, but it's okay. I'm actually just gonna stick that sticker already. Yeah, I'm kind of sick of that sticker already. Well, we may put it back on, but it's kind of silly. All right, so now, oh, the spine. There's our fans for our front. Gently in place. Okay. Here's our fan for our exhaust. Also very gently in place. Not to my knowledge. I don't think I broke anything. If I did, I guess we'll find out, but I don't think I broke anything. There's that, there's that, there's that. There's that, and then... Oh, yeah, no, it was a sticker. There's a little sticker you can put on the BIOS battery, but it was just dumb. Okay, yeah. We're going to move that down here. Oh, boy. Whew. Okay, we're going to move this one also down here. Gentle, 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 son of a bitch. Okay. Alright, so it'll give us power to our top fans. We have power to that fan. We have power to those three fans. We have power to that fan. Now, let's get our reset button. Now, this is where the book comes back in handy. Oh, good God in heaven. Oh. Whew. Hello, back. How are you? Because instead of trying to bleary-eyed... I'm gonna make her pretty, don't worry. Yeah, no, instead of bleary-eyed trying to stare at our system panel connector, I'm actually gonna look at the book so I can actually read it. Okay, so we have... There's our reset, which goes to here. We have our positive and negative HD LED to here. We have our positive power LED here. We have our negative power LED next to it, of course. And our power switch next to that. So, yeah, if you don't plug all this in, it makes for a hell of a time trying to get the son of a bitch started. You kind of have to get a screwdriver and jump it. Fine, I'll put the damn sticker back on if it makes you happy. Hold on, because I have to... Hold on. have put it back on there better. But no, somebody just had to rush me. Okay. There it is. There we go. Much prettier now. Jackass. God love you, Nerve. God love you. But, alright, so that's going to take care of, at least, as far as I can tell, everything but our main power cable is getting plugged in. So, oh, boy. Now, let's go ahead and get some of our other little piddly stuff plugged in. That way we know what all we have to actually get power to. This ugly little thing that I'm going to throw everywhere. So this will go into this PCI slot here for our other 3.0 adapter. So I can find my other screwdriver. There it is. Oh. No, it's actually already got 10 gig built into the board. That's going to be... This board only comes with one USB 3.0 Gen 1 adapter on it, and this case has 2 on the front, as well as a 3.1. So I had to order a secondary PCI card to have another Gen 3.1 connector, which sucks, but it's okay. So there's our other Gen 1 3.1 connector. Or 3.0 connector. But no, the board actually already has 10 gig Etho built into it. And then this cable will come across our M2 and plug in right there for that. And then we'll have our... Oh, let me go around real quick. And I'm not going to plug in our RTX yet. Don't worry, it gets covered up. That'll get covered up by our HD 1060. Or HD 60 Pro, I should say. Not 1060. Yeah. So, I don't like it, but honestly, it wasn't so much buying a different case, it was buying a different board. And I already had the board. So it was like, all right, well, a $12 part to make it work the way I want it to, and it adds 2 more USB 3.0 ports on the back. I'm 100% cool with that because I can use those 3.0 ports for, I can use that for my HTC Vive. That way it's not on the same channel, bandwidth channel. I know, honey, she's beautiful. There we go. So you're going, why is that HD60 having such a problem? But no, you won't even be able to see it from the actual case itself, from the top-down view from that HD60 covering it up. And that's our cap card. She's beautiful. I love her. And then, so, now we can pick it back up, start running the rest of these power cables. Run our CPU power, run everything else, and then start putting in our RTX card, change out our fret plates, start cleaning up cabling. We got to put in our other 1 terabyte SSD. That's going to go onto this cable management bracket. So let's go ahead and set her back up. Now we got all those cables run. Alright, so run some cabling out the back, and so there's our CPU. 1, Give me 1 second, guys. You okay? Hi. Good. All right, that'll work. Yep, keep an eye on her. We'll hope she keeps working. Yeah, keep an eye on her. We'll hope she keeps working. Good. Nope, still working on it. Good thought, but no, I'm right in the middle of it actually. Good. You're welcome. Bye. Sorry about that, guys. No, Dad called and let me know everything's still good with the network. I had to go replace their modem today, so he was just calling to let me know it was still working. But I don't want to not pick up a phone call from my father, just in case it is something more important than, hey, things are working. That one time I didn't, it'd be something awful. So you go ahead and keep picking up those phone calls, but I do apologize for the wait. So we're back at it. All right, there's our 2 for our power supplies, to our... Yep, there we go. Power supply, PCIe, power supply for our CPU power. I need a flashlight real quick. Okay. And then we have... I know, right? But no, he was just want to make sure, he was just letting me know his router's still working. So, but no, it's, again, the one time that I didn't pick up would be the one time that something awful will happen. So, I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep picking that up. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. CPU power. Let me actually unplug these two where I can get to it easier. Alright, CPU power. Really doesn't say which one to plug into which, so we're just gonna go with this one. Ugh. More cables. Again, I really hate that we're not gonna be able to use that, come on, you. Would you plug in? Goodness. There we go. No, maybe. What the hell? Ah, okay. What's the other end? Hey, that we're not going to be usually use that, I do always answer for my parents, dear. I hate that we're not going to be able to use that CPU, that PSU Shroud, because I love the way this power supply looks, but the cable management's not going to be nearly as neat as I would like for it to be without using that power supply Shroud. But it's okay. We all make sacrifices, and that is one of those sacrifices I'm going to have to make. Not look as pretty, but for it to be just as pretty. I'm gonna get some drink real quick. Alright, now Alright, Turbo power. We'll come up through here and go through here like so. Thankfully, a lot of that we can hide behind these panels and behind here. So, thankfully, I do have an idea on how I want to power cable manage a lot of this. It's just going to be a little tricky. But that's okay. I can live with tricky. Alright, CPU. We're actually going to run all the way over here, if we can. And can I run it all the way up and in? No. It's got a slot for it, but I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to actually get it up and in there. Okay, I can do that, honey. Yes, dear. We gotta get all these other cables out of the way of this one, though. Gotta get that any tighter. Yep. Alright. We might be able to make that work. Instead, why don't we do this way? So trying to force that cable all the way like that, we're actually going to plug it in a little bit closer to the top. Move that one over there. Oh, actually opening that door might be a little bit problematic right now, but we'll try. And then we're actually going to try to run this cable instead where it is. Yeah. We're going to try to run that straight behind this power supply. They make damn near a 90. Make another 90 right there. And I believe that shroud piece has... Oh! Have to look at it. Yeah, this actually has a gap built into it. So we'll actually be able to come up right there. And immediately hang a left, go up and in, hopefully. For the moment though, we're just gonna run it like this and plug it in. That way we can cable manage it here in a second. And I'm gonna run right there next to that IO shield and run that back up across that cable back up across our heatsink there. And then last one, is gonna be this PCIe, which will run to, actually it'll run to the secondary one as well. We can move a few cables around and get it crammed in there. Yep. And not get it caught on any other cables as we cram it in there. Perfect. And that's going to be for our RTX 2070. Alright. So, let me move a few boxes real quick, move a few little things. Because if the wife's wanting to come give commentary on all of it, then I've got to move a few little things around. Got to move a chair. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, move that chair. Move a cat carrier. And unlock the door. Alright, that's open. Cool. So, I don't need my flashlight anymore. That's awesome. Don't need my book for my motherboard anymore. Don't need a thermal paste anymore. Don't need a lot of this anymore. So we can put all that there, put that there, put that there, move that, move that, move that. Now, for the fun part. Cable managing this mess. Because boy is it a mess. So, thankfully, we do have an advantage in that this plate will actually cover 90% or so of this cabling. Shockingly enough. It'll actually cover a ton of it. Just right off the bat. I mean, we can just literally put that plate in place, hook it in right there and right there. And that plate actually covers a majority of our junk-looking cabling. Thank God, right? If it didn't, boy, we'd be in trouble. But it does. So that actually takes care of a ton of it. Now, the rest of it, like this, will be also taken care of by a few other little plates. But this right here, if we can stretch it just a little bit, we'll actually go right there and be right there at that pivot point. And we'll, there we go. Stay right there. What? Again, you can't see it. It's pretty. No, I've been IT for way too long, so I make it functional. But no, it should be a lot prettier than it is. I will admit that. I know. I'm bad. I do bad. Oh, that needs to actually get plugged in down here. And the rest of the visible wires we will cable manage the shit out of because I do not want to fucking see them. They're not smushed. I mean, literally, that is... I wish that was actually tight, but there's actually it's actually a very good concave, and it's not going to hurt them. That's one of the main reasons I bought this case, is because the cable management is brilliant. I mean, seriously, that's it. Now, a couple of these old cables I do want to move, like that one, and that one they're going into this controller. I don't really like where the controller's sitting, but there's really not a lot I can do about it. I'm not holding it down. I'm holding it in place. See? They're good. Again, I really don't like where that controller's sitting, but that's where it kind of has to sit for some of these cables, which sucks. So yeah, that's as tight as I can get it. Which is really lame. I wish they'd made these cables just a couple of freaking inches or millimeters or anything longer. But it's okay. We will make it work. Now, like I said, barely one finger puts it in place. It's just putting it in place. Nerve. See, that worries me though. Fine. God. Alright. I really wish I had another place to put this controller. Alright, real quick, let's go ahead and get at least some of our SATAs run. Rude. Trying to eliminate it, have as few SATA ports as we can in place. Just because I don't like the cables that came with it. Alright, so let's go into our standard HDD. This will come up to our solid state drive here. We'll just run that through there. I'll go to there and plug in here. I know. I know. Yeah, we still have this other SSD to put in. Let's see. Where'd it go? What was I thinking of? Oh, there's a micro there's a micro SATA cable. Because I just need two. One to go to... I could just put Molex in place. Yeah, I'm just going to put Molex in place too. Why not? Hate adding another cable, but... Gotta do what you gotta do. Where's that other... There it is. No, that's not the one I wanted though. So Molex to that, Molex to that. Is that it? No? Yeah. Yeah, that was it. Okay. No, I don't want to use it. I know there's another one in here. I just gotta find the rotten thing. So that's a 3-port Molex. That's floppy. Not those, because it's not braided. Huh. I had another cable. Oh, there it is. Already had it out. Thought I did, but wasn't sure. Alright. Oh, boy. Actually, we're just going to leave this frickin' thing. Because it's literally just going to right here, so we're actually just going to... We'll just leave that just like it is. And then that'll go right behind there. Alright, so that's good. So that's powered, that's powered. We've got one running up here for our other SSD. Oh, fine, if I gotta manage this better, I'll manage it better. Gah. People these days. Okay, you're allowed. Hi, Eddie. Hi. Okay. This will go... Molex will go to this other... Oh, it's getting there. Oh, hell. Where is that bloody... I'm actually going to remove that. But I can use a second one of those. Alright, now where did that one go? There she is. Right. Okay. gotta get that one standard RGB connector plugged in too. All right. Whew. I am actually going to take a break for a few seconds. We've been going for about 3 hours now on this. So I'm going to take a few minutes, stretch my back out, stretch my mostly back. Yeah, that's the one. Ow. But I will be back here in just a second. So stick with me. We're going to continue this phenomenal freaking build. So appreciate you guys hanging out, and I'll be right back. I know. It looks like I'm just standing here doing nothing. But I'm trying to get to the remote because I can't get to the mouse for that other computer. So, okay. There it is. I'll be right back. Alright, alright, alright. Back to the live button. There we go. Oh, God. And back in frame. Alright, we feel a little bit better. Go ahead and throw some SATA cables in place so we don't have to worry about it here in a minute. The more of the little cables we can get in place, the better. There we go. Ow, ow, ow. Finger stuck, finger stuck. There we go. I'm better. Nothing happened. Over there. This one will go down there. This one will actually come across through all this nonsense. I can get the cable to turn around. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit different thing. Come on. There we go. Let's go ahead and throw this drive in place and hook up the cables to it. It can kind of do its own thing for a second. I just want to make sure that we actually have it in place before we start doing the cable management. That way I can retract cables as need be. There we go. Alright. What? What did I do? Why am I being damned? Cause now it's stuck in your head? Yep, stuck in your head now, isn't it? Turn around, bright eye, and now and then I fall apart. And I need you more tonight. Oh, to everybody just tuning in, welcome. It's good to have you. We're just about to the cable management step. I hope. Getting one more SSD put in while I had time and thought about it. That way I could go ahead and just get that put in place before we get the rest of it done. Getting old songs stuck in my wife's head. Alright, now that SSD's in place, so we can retract all those cables. All those cables are in place, all those cables are in place, all those cables are in place, all that's in place. Oh. Now, let's plug in. Of course. That one. And we can actually retract a lot of this cabling back into this empty drive bay, thankfully. Yeah, that'll work because we can actually just go in, come back up, and be connected. Right there. All right. Oh god, let's not even talk about lamb chop, huh? Let's just not. Can we not? Let's not. Let's not and say we didn't. Ugh. Payback's a bitch. Do 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 do. I don't think I can fit that controller in there with all of our cabling, which sucks. So I would really like to. That one's at least going to be a little bit better, where we don't have to make that corner. Trying to see if there's anywhere else we can put this controller. And unplug all of these real quick, where we have a little bit more wiggle room, and just to see where we can put it. Yeah, because we have to also have a SATA connection to it. Well, we got SATA ports there. I just don't think I'm going to be able to rotate them enough. Yeah, they're facing the opposite way that we need them to. As always. Yeah, no, there's not much more we can do than put it right there where it's at. Which stinks. And, well, we need to redo this cable management to plug into this SSD. I need to plug that one in like that. We can run that cable right there. And then this cable will actually come up to, not up so much, but to our, I'll go up to there like that, and across and to there. And this will go to our RGB controller. So let's see how much we got. So right about there. Let's see here. I'm gonna actually unrun some of the ARGB. Actually, the majority of them. That way we can get a little bit better runs on our ARGB controller. Okay, that's all good, that's all good. That's still going to be the one that I don't like. That's as far as we can send it. It's right about there. So that's where it'll have to be. It's right about there. Oh yeah, because any other movement, that's as far as that cable will go. As far as the ARGB cables will reach, so that's where she will have to stay. Then we have another one of our ARGB cables from our AIO pump. Right there. Actually run right down and connect to there. Okay, and lastly our ARGB from our power supply. Where'd you go? There you are. Okay. Yeah, that's where that's gonna have to live. It's right there. There's not much else we can do with her. We can do some cable management and run it down and make it a little bit prettier, but we've got a ton of cables running into that controller, so that's just about as good as we're gonna be able to get that, unfortunately. can use the reset switch cable coming from the top panel to kind of tighten some of that up a little. But man, that's it's gonna be about it. So let's grab our bigger cable ties that ASUS was nice enough to provide with the ROG Thor. Oh. Start. That's odd. Well, those are an interesting way of putting those. All right. We're just going to use regular old cable ties. Yeah. We'll use those for the front where they're actually visible. But for this back here, we're actually just going to use regular old zip ties. And very gently clip the ends off. Not cutting any of our frickin' cables at this point, because boy, that would just be a nightmare. Ah, man. We're so close. A little bit more cable management. After we get our vanity panels back on, some standard old-fashioned good old wire management. And we're gonna be just about done. So let's go ahead and check out our vanity panel here. Yeah, that'll work. And we're not crushing those, so that makes me happy. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Magnetic screwdriver, so I can actually put this thing in place. And all that we're still going to clean up, but thankfully a lot of that, other than that, will get hidden here pretty soon. There it is. No, not that one. That one. That'll actually go down all the way over that. And then, where's our next panel? That's our front PSU. There's our front cover. Our cable management. Where did you go? Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you? Did I put it in the chair? I didn't leave the chair. Sure I did. Nope. This is where we do the technical difficulties music. As I search for a piece of black metal amongst all the other pieces of black metal that I have laying around. I just had it. Where the hell did it go? You guys could help me out there. You could have said it before I did. Just saying. Dick move. I get it. Dick move. Alright, so, and see, that actually takes care of quite a bit of the other unsightly cabling right there, thankfully. All right. So, yeah, that works. Not as pretty as I would like for it to be, but until plus we have a little bit more work to do with getting the other Rgb controller as well. Because don't forget we have those other three Rgb fans to put in the front. And until those are in, then it's kind of pointless to completely cable manage this. So, actually that should be the extent of what I have to do in the rear panel. So, let's go ahead and very carefully, very gently put our rear glass panel on. And let's pull this baby over here, where we can start doing a little bit more of the cable management on this side. And oh, that got tight. Ooh. Ooh. That cable got real tight real quick. Okay. Well, you have to figure that out. So, just kidding. We're taking all that back off. Not all of it, but at least this back glass piece. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just open it while it's standing up just so you guys can see where that pivot is that I was talking about. And one thing I actually really like about this is that that's as far as it'll go. That's it. Until you pick up on it and disengage it, that's as far as she'll go. And I love that. Love that. Alright, so I'm just actually just going to loosen up that one and that one. So I got to get a little bit more of this PCI E cable. But I'm afraid with the zip tying them that it's just going to be stuck there. So let's go ahead and we'll just go ahead and remove the entire panel again. I'm so ready to get this thing done. Yep, that's exactly what it is. We zip tied it down. We didn't have enough cable pulled. That's okay. We can pull some more of that cable through, just like this, and just a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now we're good. Should be at least. Now let's recheck all of our other cables. Make sure all that's in place. Make sure all that's in place. Replug in this Rgb cable again. Replug in the feed you over the top and everything. How about that? You like that? Bet you would. Bet you'd like it better if I fed you over the top of the rest of those nonsense cables. There we go. And lock in place. Perfect. There we go. Oh. Pop my backpack into place. Yeah. What's going on, wowzers? Yeah, we got one. That's only 128 SSD there. And then let me put our panel back on. The inside, we've got a 250 gig M2 drive there, and then another 1 terabyte SSD there. All right, that's plenty. All right, now, whew, not as young as I used to be. All right, now we need our RTX 2070. I seem to oh, there it is. Yeah, I love this case. This is the Cooler Master H500M. She's beautiful, but not as beautiful as this one. RTX 2070 Founders Edition. Maglev fans. Use my other screwdriver for that. We're almost done, wowzers. You came at just the right time to see it finished up. Got a little bit. I'd like to do a little bit more cable management, but again, I've got to get back into it here in the next few days anyway to put some more parts in. So the cable management final can wait as long as I don't have anything run into a case or in anything else. Let me guess. Wrong one. Wrong one. Good job, Breed. Wrong PCI cover. Reed's dumb. Do. Oh. Alright, put that back in place because we're actually not going to use that one because that would interfere with our M2. I want as much speed of the M2 drive as I can get. Alright, RTX 2070 is once again back home where she belongs. Hello, Dolly. Well, hello, Dolly. It's so nice to have you back. Oh God, no! I wish. Hey, name I recognize. So the EasyJC. Welcome to the channel. Great to have you. But no, I'm actually an IT guy by trade. So But our old streaming machine is like an old i7 3700 running. Actually, I've got it sitting right there. It was an old 660 Ti. Let me get this bad boy plugged in. And yeah. I mean, it is ancient, but this is going to be a monster of a rig. This is an i7 8700K with 360 mil, 360 red, water cooled, 150 watt, the Asus ROG Thor power supply, GeForce RTX 2070, 32 gigs of DDR4. I've actually got another 32 gigs that'll be on order here hopefully pretty soon, as soon as I can afford it, because man, RAM prices haven't gone down that much. Got the Elgato HD 60 Pro. That's just another USB 3.0 header, so we can run both of our USB 3.0 on the top. Let me go ahead and get that. Oh, wow, that actually was perfect. Anti-sag for the graphics card. That was right on the money. All right. Let me get this cable run a little bit more where I want it for our SATA cable. Trying to make it as pretty as I can. I've got to get back into this case here in a few days to put in. I've got 3 more ARGB fans that are going to go right there. But that's actually going to be real close. We're not going to use that extra SATA. We've got SATA power to everything we need. We've got SATA power to that SSD, M2 SSD on the back. This old school HDD. Got power to all of our fans. So yeah, other than just a little bit of running some cables back the way I want them to be, we're right at where I want. So we're gonna get this closed up. We're gonna get some glass cleaner on it, get it all prettified, and then like I said, the OS installation and everything else won't be on camera, unfortunately, just because the capture card is inside the machine we're putting in. So there's our other front glass piece. Ah, yes. We do want to go ahead and change out this, which is, let me scoot. This is our front mesh piece. It comes on the case. Like I said, it comes with this front mesh one. It also comes with the tempered glass front panel, which I want to use the tempered glass front panel with this build. And then put one more shroud back in place. Yeah, you just asked it to be a jerk though, Nerve. So front panel's got 8 screws on it. Not a huge deal. I know a lot of people do this by. I still appreciate you asking. I'm gonna go ahead and take a knee here. Because bending over this thing for the last almost 3.5 hours, I absolutely started to kill my back. But that's okay, we're almost done. Oh, thanks, appreciate it. No, I'm just trying to explain everything and talk about everything as I go along. Wow. Damn, Nerve. Rough. Oof. Alright, so there's our original mesh front panel. Oof. Wink? I think that's a wink? Is that a wink? Pretty sure that's a wink. And I'm gonna very gently grab this. That's our tempered glass. Puncher wink. That's our tempered glass front panel that we're going to very gently place down onto our build table. And then just line up our screws as best we can. Okay. Goes the other way. There we go. Alright. Now, we just screw everything back in. Almost, Jay. Almost. We're doing the finishing touches. I'm putting the glass front panel on so I can get that put in place. And then, like I said, I've got an OS to put on there, all the software to put on there. I'm going to do a couple of Cinebench runs, a couple of 3D Mark runs. Yeah, the last computer, I don't know if any of you guys run Cinebench or anything. The last machine we were running was a 573 on Cinebench. Not a 5073, not a 1573, but a 573 on Cinebench, which was awful. I mean, awful. So I'm really, really looking forward to having a machine that won't absolutely crap itself trying to run anything CPU intensive, which Streamlabs is fairly CPU intensive. I mean, just doing 2 webcams, no audio, no nothing else, we're running at 33% CPU, which is ridiculous. But keep in mind, this is also an old computer that I'm running it on. I think this is like an old i3 Lenovo all-in-one. It's just what I had sitting around the house. No, this is the one I had sitting in my kitchen for like looking up recipes on and watching TV while I'm cooking. But doesn't mean it's not a good machine. Just means it's not built for this. This is why this was our cooking stream machine. All right, so there is our tempered glass front panel, which I'm so excited about. Now, is that on the inside or the outside? I can't tell. Inside. Okay. I gotta clean that off the inside. Ugh. Some of the glue from the manufacturing process. Alright, actually, if you guys will give me just 1 second, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab some coffee filters because I want to actually clean this glass before we get it all put back in place. So, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming. Oh, don't abandon me now. We're almost done. Okay. I'm back. Sorry. Wanted to go get some coffee filters real quick. That way I can clean this glass. I know it sounds odd, but coffee filters work just as well as paper towels, but they're very, very, very low lint. And I like these cone ones because you can actually like get your hand in there and do it. And we have some wonderful Strand Flex 1 wipe glass cleaner that I got from our manufacturing plant. Because we make windows, so glass cleaner, kind of nice to have.
There's the inside cleaned.
We'll go ahead and take care of the outside real quick. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. All right. Now, we can stand her back up. And, oh! Whew! Boy, that got heavier. Reattach our front panel. Snap into place, snap into place, snap into place. Alright. And there we go. Front panel is back in place. Well, we've got the side off, or the top panel off. My wife hates that sound, but I still find it so rutting satisfying. I mean, just... We can go ahead and peel our protective plastic off of our top I/O panel. And we'll go ahead and get our top panel back on. Again, I want to go ahead and clean it before we do. Yeah, it actually had a little bit of a sticker on the top of it. So, that, and I have oily hands all the freaking time for no reason. So, I want this to be nice and cleaned. There we go. Get that adhesive off from wherever it came from. Grab another coffee filter. Perfect. Another piece of protective plastic. And then we can put our top panel back on with our 200mm fans. Come on. There you go. There we are. All right. Now, let's not forget about our thumb screw back here that keeps that top panel in place. And last but not least, just gonna lean that up against that real quick. Clean off the outside of our tempered glass from my oily, stupid handprints. Check the inside. Yep, a little bit of one. We'll go ahead and wipe it off just to make sure. Okay. A little bit of some kind of adhesive right there, but nothing that can't be taken care of with just a little polishing. Alright. So, now we just gingerly place that back on. I said. Alright, so that will be right where it's placed. So, we still have one more shroud to put back in, which is going to be this one right here. Oh, what do we got? No, sir, we're not gonna break this frickin' back tempered glass panel before we even get the machine turned on. I refuse. Whew. Give myself a rotten heart attack. Alright. Alright, so this goes right here. Like I said, that'll cover up a little bit of that mess from not being able to use the power supply shroud, which, again, hate that we can't use it, but I understand that it's the price you pay when you get a specialty power supply that you want special readouts from. Part of it. Alright, and then we have 2 more screws to put into that. I'm going to go ahead and grab my magnetic screwdriver again for this. I wish we could use that other shroud. I may take it to a shop and modify it where it's able to be used, for lack of a better term, of saying cut the ever-loving shit out of it until it's what I want. But for the moment, we're not going to. For the moment, we are going to take our tempered glass panel. I'm going to place it ever so gently in position. So gently. Jesus, Reed. Is that locked in? Nope. Yep. Alright, there we go. Alright, place that in position. And lock it into place. And that's it. That's as far as it's going to go on the hardware side tonight. But, whew, here we are, about 4 hours later. And we have our build. Y'all want to see it turn on? I want to see it turn on. I definitely want to see it turn on. Keep in mind, the Rgb is not set to anything. We have no operating system on this thing. So, let me move this. Dearest wife, if you're wanting to come witness this in person, now would be the time. Maybe, if I can get a power cord that'll reach long enough. All the things not to plan through. Plugging it in was one of them. Let me move a box. And move a... yes. Okay. That should be close enough. Yeah, it's close enough. Close enough for government work. Darling, if you're coming, now would be the time. Okay. Alright. Power supply. On. And I'm going to kill that. That way we can hopefully see all the Rgb goodness. Alright. Fingers crossed, everybody. Here we go. Now kick off to charge the capacitors. And it should fire back up. There she is. We're live. We are alive! Our Thor is working as intended and picking up on the ARGB. So if we hit our reset button up here. Oh, nice. And it is actually working through the controller. All of our fans are working through the controller. Pump's working through the controller. Oh, yeah. Hello, gorgeous. So let's see what else this baby can do. We've got a... Oh, nice. Like a cycle. Okay. Slow... Is that a fade? Yeah. Nice. Power color cycle fade. Full wheel. Off. That's straight color. We're definitely going to leave it on that for a minute, though. There she is. That power supply is gorgeous. I got to say that. I've got to say that. That power supply is beautiful. Here, let me do something real quick so I can actually get a little bit better. I mean, wow. That is brilliant. Let me rotate this bad boy. Sit her up so you guys can see. Oh, wow. See the quality. Those. I mean, that's why I went for the ARGB build, is because of the quality of the fans. I mean, all the fans are, perfectly in sync, perfectly working. All right, now for the fun part. Getting the OS on there, getting everything else on there, getting it running. So, that is where we're going to head to next. But for the moment, let's can we turn it around just a little bit? Yeah. So we can somewhat see it on the front. But those are absolutely gorgeous. Alright, but guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, the Whaley Nut Machine's alive. It's ready to go. So I'm going to get this thing ready to rock and roll. We're going to get ready to stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for hanging out. It's made this build a lot of fun. Thank you again to Cooler Master for shouting it out on Twitter. Thank you to WinChoice and Morph for sponsoring at least part of the build. And we will see you guys either in the next video, or we will see you guys whenever this thing inevitably dies. We have to take it all the way back to the park again. So, we will see what happens. We're going to, fingers crossed that that doesn't happen. But if all else fails, we will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye.